Okay, we get an opponent here. I'm gonna play f4. This is called the bird opening or reverse Dutch defense. So my opponent plays d5. So actually, if I played d4 and if black plays f5, that's called Dutch defense. And this is the reverse Dutch. So the drawbacks of this opening is that I weaken my king on dark square when I push my f pawn. So I'm gonna play knight to f3. So I take the center with a flying pawn. So of course you can take the center with flying pawns. C and F are flying pawns. They can control the center. All right. So I'm controlling the e5 square twice with my knight and with my f pawn. So this is one of the most imbalanced opening, all right, in chess. But yeah, my opponent plays knight to c6. You should not put a knight in front of c pawn like this because the d pawn and the c pawn work together. So I'm gonna play pawn to e3. Maybe I'm gonna play next. Maybe bishop to b5. Maybe pinning the knight. My opponent plays knight to f6. I'm gonna play pawn to b3. So my dark square bishop will become a beast in the diagonal on b2. I fianchetto my bishop on b2. If my opponent plays bishop to g4, I'm gonna block with my bishop on e2, and I can castle on the king side. So my opponent is thinking, if I was playing black here, instead of knight c6, I should black should have played pawn to c5, right? So the pawns d and c pawn work together very well in the queen's pawn position. In this case, my opponent played knight c6, which is, well, it's not a bad move, but positionally, a knight in front of the c pawn is not good. So my opponent is still thinking. By the way, I'm playing a 15-minute game without an increment, and I also play a casual game, which means my opponent and I cannot lose rating here. We don't lose rating if we lose. So anyway, my opponent played bishop to g4. Like I said, I'm gonna block with bishop to e2. So far, everything is normal. Um, my opponent, aka black here, should not take my knight because bishops are better than knights. Okay, my opponent played queen d6, which is, to be honest, it's a weird move. I'm gonna play bishop to b2. My bishop on b2 is controlling the diagonal on, controlling a1, b2, c3, d4, e5, f6, g7, and h8. So my opponent played queen to e6, which is a weird move. I'm gonna finish up with castle. I mean, if my opponent wants to castle, I mean, black should have castle before put the queen on e6. All right, or at least okay, my opponent blunder a pawn here, so I'm gonna take obviously. When he played d4, he blundered a pawn. So yeah, pure blunder of a pawn. Okay, of course I take back. Knight to it's not a bad move, but I think what I should do maybe kick the knight again. Let's kick the knight because the knight don't belong here on e4. So yeah, my opponent waste oh my god. Okay, queen g6 is a bad move because it hangs a knight. You know, black hangs a knight, his knight, which is a terrible. Maybe black forgot what black should have done is just retreat to f6 and then long castle because okay. Mm, I'm gonna finish up my development to maybe yeah knight to c3. So far everything is normal. So yeah. So black is down a piece. Okay. Black played rook to d6. I'm gonna bring up my rook to d1. Rook a d1 because both of my rooks are connected now. Hmm. Okay. Queen to h6, which is a weird move. I'm gonna attack the rook with knight to b5. Let's see what my opponent is going to do. Um, Rook to g6. Actually, this is a decent idea by my opponent to bring the rook directly to attack my king. But for now, my king is completely safe. So when I'm sorry. When black played rook to g6, the pawn on a7 is unprotected. So I'm gonna take with a check. Oh wow, 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 wow. My opponent played the worst move of the game, which is king to d8. You should not put your king like this in the center when the opponent, which is me, have a rook on d1. So there is a tactic here which is called discover attack, or maybe you can call this a discover check, which is bishop takes g7 check. Now black cannot take my bishop because the king is in check, and I also attacking black's king on queen on h6. So black is completely lost here. Black should have played king to b8, not king d8 because okay, I'm gonna take the queen because it's free. I'm gonna take the rook with check. I'm gonna play maybe queen to b5, attacking the pawn on b7. I mean, this is just hopeless for black because white has plus 12, points of material, and black has nothing here because my king is completely safe. There's no attack directly to my king, and I also have a solid center, and of course I have a queen and a knight here. I mean a queen, pure queen, and I also have let me count 3, 6, 2, 8, 8 pawns. I still have 8 pawns, which is really weird. My opponent blundered horribly. Let's see. My opponent is still thinking because his position is so bad right now. Sometimes an opponent like this, they just let their time runs out until zero. It's such a bad sportsmanship and also a disgusting behavior. I face, I face kind of the same behavior many times. If I was black here, I'm just straight up resign here because black's position is completely losing and also hopeless. You know, it's just weird. So my opponent is still thinking. I don't know what is he thinking right now. I mean, maybe he's just looking for the resign button. I don't know. Hmm, is he going to let his clock run to zero? If if he does that, I'm gonna report him. Like I don't know. I know. As black here, you are upset, but sometimes um, you gotta learn from your mistakes, right? I also learned from my previous mistakes when I blundered everything in the past when I was still like 300, 500, you know and now I'm currently at 2000, 2000. I mean, it's not bad. My opponent is thinking, oh, maybe I don't know. He's just he doesn't want to play anymore. I don't know. Sometimes beginners like this, they lose a lot. They lose a lot of their chess games, and they decide to cheat, which is not great. So my opponent plays rook to g8 after a long thinking. I'm gonna take the pawn on b7. It's a free pawn. And also there is a checkmate threat, which is queen c8. It's just a checkmate. The king cannot run. There are two moves here to at least prolong the game. The first move is rook takes pawn on g2 with check. I'm just gonna take the rook if black plays that. The second one is e6 or e5. If black does that, I'm just gonna play queen to c8 anyway and take free rook. So my opponent played king to e8, which is still blunder checkmate on c8, which is GG for my opponent. So yeah, that's it. I think this game is very unfortunate for my opponent. Honestly, it's just sad, but it is what it is. You gotta, learn from your mistakes, and you just gotta, get used to it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoy and like this video. Give it a thumbs up. This is Fat. Bye bye.